Welcome to J.J.Cheng Legacy Show. This is your host, J.J.Cheng, also known as J.J.Cheng.
Okay, PHOENIXA the Nest is a little like the work of Pearl Buck, and she looked to the earth for the source of her material about how all the Chinese families, husband, wife, concubine, grandmother, grandchild, great-grandparent, great-grandchild, how they all fit together, and that period of time, the 1930s, it was post-imperial but pre-revolutionary, and she happened to be there at that exact instant to write about everyone. In PHOENIXA, J.J.Cheng is like Pearl Buck, except that Pearl Buck looked to the good earth. J.J.Cheng looks to the sky, and she looks into a profound origin story. I especially like the Shanghai Jing, the pre-Confucian basis of the world, and the contemporary authors in America who were so famous, Betty Ballard and Lisa C. and Amy Tan, wrote in 1980s and 90s, and it was a period that I think of as Pax Americana. It was when America was powerful and great. The peace of America was somewhat enforceable around the world. That's now largely history. So they wrote about how to bring the Chinese Asian woman into the American world, which at the time was overwhelming and powerful. And their writing is also overwhelming and powerful. It lifted the Chinese people in the world of literature in America. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But J.J.Cheng's book is being written at a little bit different time. The last 2 decades, America's position of influence has begun to recede slightly. That of China's has begun to incrementally grow. And at this time, her book, where she goes into the deep, profound beginnings of the Asian awareness, of the consciousness, of the philosophy, of the foundation stones of family structures, she sees those in the sky, in the stars, in the planets, in the beautiful characters, the phoenix that reincarnates itself, that flies. And she sees those things in her immediate ancestors, her grandfather, and those come forth in a rush in this book. And it's something I really like to read. But the more I think about it, the more I think it's closer to the works of Pearl Buck and the other authors of the 1930s who were looking to the earth, and now this book looks to the heavens. Across the whole spectrum of the greatest writers in America and England, France, Germany, Spain. I'm trained in the European canon, but you can see it in Hemingway, who begins to write using English to look at the stream bed, to look at the pebbles under the water, to look at the nature and describe it with simple, clear words. You can see it in the British writers. I think of like Churchill. When he's writing about World War II, he's writing about a tactile world of interface, but his language very precise about the spirit of courage to fight. You know, the European canon was something that that happened, and now I like this particular book because it draws on those sources, but it's more mystical, more I'll say meta-ethical. It's looking for what is the right thing to do, or what has the wrong thing that has happened in a almost religious way. It's very complex for the Asian writers to go deeply into the religious sentiments in English. So it's not religious, but it's moral. And this book is one that at this moment I think is just right for the times we're in. PHOENIXA, The Nest is by J.J.Cheng. The best writers have a voice that it comes out of them, and it's not to me like a style that they learn or that can be learned. It's something that just happens to them, and it's her own voice as unique. You know, it pays tribute to the cultures of the past, so sometimes there's a little Buddhist twist or language here, and sometimes there's some Taoism. Once in a while, a little, I think like there was a South American writer named Gabriel.G.Marquez wrote 100 Years of Solitude. Out of nowhere came magical realism. He started writing about cows flying in the sky, the generalismo, you know, going through 100 years in his dream. That image is one I hold when I read this book. This is just coming out of nowhere. That style, and of course, Marquez was like all great writers, imitative. He'd read great writers, he imitated them, but the voice for that work was unique and came right out of him. This story comes straight from a place of originality. My favorite character in PHOENIXA, The Nest, has always been this dragon. I mean, this tiger, who comes in and just gobbles everybody and everything without any caring whether they were good or bad, or sweet or nice, or little or tall, or whatever. PHOENIXA has a hard life and an unhappy ending, and he almost obliterates her entirely, but there's another character, Dragono, who comes in after him, where he's a little bit of an earthly battle. Dragono takes her on in the skies, and I don't want to give away the end of the book, but it does not end very well for our heroine. I'm hoping that she's able to come back and fight again another day.
Award-winning PHOENIXA, The Nest, the first book of PHOENIXA trilogy, available worldwide in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. PHOENIXA Cheng Legacy Show, PHOENIXACheng.com.